There's more chairs over there too, you guys know. You don't want to get that one.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Parks, Trees, and Recreation Board meeting of Wednesday, December 3rd, and it is approximately 5:30. We'll get the meeting started. We'll start with the call order and a roll call, please.
Roger Mullendorf.
I am here.
Mary Del Dunn here. Beth Graham here. Brad Portal.
Here.
Sarah Thorson here. Ann Rude. Luke Russell.
Here.
All right, good. Okay, we have a quorum. We're going to start. Can we get an approval of the agenda and the minutes of the November 5th meeting? Oh, excuse me. Good reason to have Beth here. She always points out what I forgot. We have citizens' comments on matters. We held to 3 minutes per individual. I just want to make a suggestion. If you're here for the Lions Park Red Lodge Ice issue, we're going to take comments after the presentation and after the board has had questions. So if you want to wait till that time, you can. If you have another issue you'd like to comment, we could listen to that at this time too. But could you identify yourself, please?
My name is Don Kenny. I live in Carbon County. I'm here for the parks issue. My question is, once Mr. Kunz gets done with his presentation, we have besides you, obviously, but can we have input into it and question the gentleman?
That's correct. When we're going to allow the Red Lodge Ice Steering Committee or the Steering Committee for the grant to give their presentation, then we'll reserve time for the board to ask questions and to enter into conversations with them. And then after that, we'll open it up for the public too.
Thank you.
And I'll go over that in more detail. Yes.
Mary Decker. Can you just verify that after the presentation, this will not be a discussion, but we'll have 3 uninterrupted minutes? Or will it be a discussion?
Well, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Okay.
Okay. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, just making sure it's not back and forth
I'm going to time you
discussion.
too.
That's perfect.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, now we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda and the minutes of the November 5th, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved.
The minutes.
The minutes? Okay. I'm going to make a recommendation on our agenda that we move item 3, which is the Red Lodge Disc Golf, the Red Lodge Disc Golf, up to item 2. Do we have a motion to accept that recommendation?
I make a motion that we discuss the disc golf draft MOU first.
Yeah.
And discussion items. Do we have a second? Do we have a second on the approval of the minutes? Second.
Second.
Sarah Thorson.
Yeah. All right, do we have a second on altering the agenda? Moving the disc golf to number 2.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll proceed with the discussion item. So the disc golf, the Red Lodge Disc Golf draft MOU is the next issue. We've been working with the disc golf people from Red Lodge. They've come up with a design for adding additional holes to the course up there at Coal Miners Park. And in the process of working with them, we're working out the details of the memorandum of understanding, such as what are each party going to be responsible? What will the volunteers from the disc golf people, what will their duties be, and what are they relying on the city, what their duties will be. When that is completed, then we'll make a recommendation to the city council to accept the memorandum of understanding. However, we have had an ongoing discussion about the MOU. I think we've had a draft right before this meeting. I don't think any of the board members have had time really maybe to take a look at it. So my recommendation is that we table this to the next meeting. Hopefully we've all had an opportunity then to take a look at that MOU in detail and we're able to have a good discussion on it. Do you have a motion to that effect?
My motion, we postpone to next meeting.
Okay.
Move it to next
Yeah,
meeting.
second. Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion. Thank you, Luke. All right, next item is the Red Lodge Ice Winter Tourism Grant discussion of the upgrade at the ice rink at Lions Park. And I know we have at least a couple people here from the steering committee. Tom and Ray Kentz.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Would you like to come up and give a presentation?
Yep. Yeah.
And Nick Eddy's in the back too.
I'm on the steering committee. I'm not a part of their project, but I'm on the steering.
Okay, we're good.
All right, where would you like me to, come right up?
Right there, it's fine.
I try not to speak too loudly. I'm sure you could all hear me just fine. So I'm Ray Kuntz, and I'm part of the steering committee for the ice rink project. And I'd just like to give a brief procedural overview first to talk about where we are in the process, and then Tom has a presentation on some of the details. And so with respect to the Parks Board, where we are right now is on step one of the draft flow chart for the decision matrix and organizations. That is, one, the organization or user group requests to be placed on Parks Board agenda to provide preliminary project concepts. So we're here as step one in that process. And we've done a substantial amount of preliminary work to get to step one, so that when we come to you, we've actually got something to talk about. And just in the briefest of overviews, that involves, one, initially securing grant funding through the Department of Commerce for promotion, which is a grant specifically designed to develop community facilities that serve both the community and attract tourists flow for the local economy. We have then put together preliminary concepts for a design, which is, Tom will give you more of the details on, and we've held a public forum to solicit user input, to let people know what the design, what the project concept is, and to hear what folks have to say. And we've incorporated that into our process, and we'll be working with that as we go forward. And so really, what I just want to lay out is that we are here at the beginning of the process, and that this is to give the Parks Board an idea of what we'd like to do, but that it's not just a pipe dream, it's not just conjecture. We've got funding, we've got a plan, we've got an organization, and with that, I think we're ready to go forward.
Thank you, Ray. So I think most people know my name's Tom Kuntz, and I'm here on behalf of both the Red Lodge Ice and the steering committee to present on our ice rink project. And I want to just kind of mention that this concept has been in the works for a very long time, outside of kind of the grant, and that the grant was just something that led into this. But I'll address some of that piece as we go forward. You know, our hope here is to kind of review existing conditions and present on the proposed improvements, explain a little bit about why we think Lions Park is the best option currently, show a little bit of alignment with the Red Lodge growth policy, summarize some of the community feedback stuff we've heard so far, and then discuss a little bit of kind of next steps in the project at the end there. So I think, you know, a key point, and Merv Coleman has been instrumental in helping us with this, is that this area has been an ice skating rink for a long time, and some have even claimed, in as many as 100 years. And I've talked to some folks who have said, yeah, my dad remembered skating there in the 30s and 40s. So that this piece has been a park. It's been a skating area for a long time. And in fact, at least Murph claims is that the part of the reason, or one of the main reasons is a park, is because of the ice skating and the ice skating the rink. And this is a picture that he took in the 80s when he was helping to build the ice. And you can kind of see that what is now, this is in the exact same location where the ice is currently, and you can see that what we now see as park was clearly parking and more industrial. It wasn't even park at that point. So a little bit about why I'm here, and I recognize that, at some elements I have an outsized role in this community, and why am I here for this? And the real reason is that when my kids were about 3 years old, they wanted to skate. And so I showed up at the ice skating rink and started skating with them. And the Boys and Girls Club had just started working with Al Boomer and Nate Davis, actually, to develop a learn to skate and learn to play hockey program. And I got involved in that learn to skate program. And like many things we get involved with as our kids, we discovered that it was a lot more to it than it seemed. And there was a lot of work to make sure that the ice was skatable for the kids on Saturday mornings. We also discovered that the kids didn't have proper gear, and we worked to get them proper gear and ice skates. And we had instructors that come from Billings and volunteer to come do that training. But I would get up in sometimes 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to help make sure the ice was skatable, and oftentimes work on Friday nights until 10 or 11 o'clock to make sure that ice was skatable. And it was, and continues to be, a lot of work. And, we'd be out in the middle filling cracks, trying to make it so the kids wouldn't get hurt on the ice. And it's a lot of work. But, as this picture shows, it's worth it, right? On that left picture, you can see my daughter when she's probably 5, and then here when she's probably 16 or 17, helping actually teach the lessons, as she moved through that project. And that's a family of skaters who show up for hockey. But just the amount of community that happens at that rink is where I built my passion for it, and why I think it's such an important part of our community, and really ultimately why I'm here today in the face of, to present this to you, because I do believe it's important. And so really why are we here wanting to improve the ice rink? Some would say, oh, it's, there's ice there, it's good enough. But truthfully, it's not. The original, so from that first picture you saw, the city over the last 35, 40 years has actually invested a lot of money in ice skating in that area. And one of the first things they did is they sculpted the ground to build a pond. So if you've been there, you recognize that you have to walk down into that area. And that was so that they installed a fire hydrant that Public Works just removed. They installed a fire hydrant just for filling that, to make that a pond. Take hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to fill that up, to make it a pond. At the time, we may not have even been treating our water at the time, and so water was not considered a valuable commodity. It's much more valuable. Anybody who has a water bill knows that hundreds of thousands of gallons of water has a cost. But that bowl creates challenges. And in the end, it's not the best for just filling that, the water seeps through, and just filling the grass with, trying to make a pond in the middle of a field, and especially in our Rock Creek Basin with lots of permeations, is not great. So about 20 years ago, we started using a liner and building a liner. And so uses a lot less water, 50,000 gallons, 75,000 gallons of water. but again, still has challenges in making ice because you're subject to the weather. For example, we poured the ice about a week ago, and then it snowed on it. And we don't think of snow as being heavy unless, of course, you were shoveling today. You realize that snow has weight to it, and when that snow lands on top of the ice that's not frozen all the way, it pushes the sheet of ice down. And water comes up along the side and flows into the snow. So now the ice surface is a mixture of snow and ice, which will take a lot of work to correct, and a lot of time and energy. And it will not make ultimately great ice, but trying to predict the weather, even for the weather folks, is difficult. So in order to get a space and time where it's cold enough to make ice and it won't snow becomes very difficult. But generally that slope, both for the skaters and for people in the summer, creates accessibility issues and can be dangerous. We have people falling trying to walk down to get to the ice because of the slopes that were built for that original bowl and pond. The ice rink's highly weather dependent. We have times in January where the thing turns to mush. And so people go out there and skate, and their skates go through the ice or go into the ice. Then it gets cold again. Those marks that they put in freeze into the ice. And again, very difficult to fix. I already mentioned snow falling. When it warms up like that, the ice is easily damaged, and it's difficult to fix, and it can become very, very dangerous. Currently, we don't have any access to get a Zamboni or any kind of mechanical fixation, so we do a walking Zamboni, but it doesn't scrape the ice, which helps to get rid of to make it an even, safer surface. And then when it gets cold, the ice contracts, and you can get cracks sometimes that are a half inch or an inch open in the middle of the ice. People's skates fall in there, and you go right down. So again, it can be dangerous. The lighting there is not great. Currently, the lighting was built to be inexpensive to put up, and it bleeds over into the street and the community, and it's not great lighting. So what are we proposing? Kind of two phases ultimately, is to maintain the improved multi-season footprint of that area, but to grade it so it's level, so that the park is level, so that it can be built on. To install to build a building that can hold a Zamboni, and now on that level ground you could drive the Zamboni actually onto the ice. Phase one, we would still have the grass. We'd have to replant the grass, still have grass, but we would still have all the challenges we have with the current ice. And then phase two would be to install the concrete. To phase this becomes a bunch more expensive, by the way, but probably is going to make the most sense in terms of the funding that we have right now. Upgrade, then phase two, put in a concrete pad that's the size of the ice rink. If you're wondering about the size, it's the same size that's currently there. It may be a foot or two, one direction or the other, but essentially the size that's there right now. Upgrade the lighting with potentially, as best as possible, historic fixtures that are lower level and don't bleed out into the community, and can be the right color as well. Add accessible paths both to the street and to the bathroom so that people can move between those areas, people with limited mobility. And then add additional trees and shrubs to make the area feel more park-like, and to feel better. And really, I think, truthfully, preserving this open air feeling for skating. I think Red Lodge, we are so tied to our outdoor life, and having this amenity to be outside in the winter, not inside in an ice rink, is really something that is absolutely, I think it's essential, what we believe in, essential in the feel of the community. Essentially the ice rink looks similar to what it looks like now. This rendering shows this building. I think some have thought that these are planning drawings, and just to be clear, these were renderings that we felt we needed to get before we presented to you, but they're essentially, these are to scale, but they are architectural, artistic renderings. They're not engineered drawings, just to be very clear about that. That would be, the expense of engineered drawings is in the tens and tens of thousands. This is in the thousands of dollars, and no one would invest. We didn't want to invest in engineered drawings unless we had approval to move forward. So, you know, why Lions Park, right? And I think this is a big piece for the community. Ultimately, I think, in my view, personally, there's a couple of things that I believe are important. But ultimately, for this, Lions Park has been that location forever. People have skated there for as long as anyone in our community can remember. And more importantly, it's central to our community. It's located next to our commercial district, and it makes our community feel good, and it's within walking distance. People tourists driving into town, they can see it. It adds to the iconic nature of our community of being outdoor connected and accessible. It shows the park and the park space as you come into the town. It's walkable for kids. For the number of people who walk from the ice rink to the IGA to go get snacks, especially the kids, is amazing. And having that ability for a parent to know that their kid, they can drop their kid off, they can skate, they can have a place to go to the bathroom, and they can walk and get something for lunch is really, really important. And for a lot of people, they can walk home. It's next to the infrastructure we've already invested in. The Parks Board and the City Council built a locker room and a bathroom there. The bathroom was built to be a community bathroom, but also a locker room for the ice rink. So there's been a lot of infrastructure investment in this for the ice rink already. And that having it visible to the community helps to attract tourism. Big portion of this is trying to help make this feel good, not only for the folks who live here, but the folks who visit as well. These are just artistic drawings that show, a gas fireplace that's a little bit more sustainable. It's cleaner. It's a little bit user, but having a gathering place that people can, gather and join. And, again, in the summer, in the winter, both would work for this. And then this is showing farmers market stalls that you can have in there. Level ground, easy to access for people, and easier on the vendors as well. Level ground. The current park is not level at all, and I think that would be our hope too. Is with this is that we could go into the main portion of the park and smooth and level out that and improve the grass and stuff there as well a little bit. Again, multi-use benefits year-round, reliable, longer skating systems, seating. So really, when we really talk about the end goal with this, one of them is to create economic benefit, but also improve community. So November, there's not as much to do outside in our community, and the season for this would extend from beginning of November to mid-March. We're not going to push much on the far end. We get to mid-February, end of February currently. We're not going to get much farther into that season because the sun angle comes up and it becomes too warm and it's not economical to try and maintain the ice. But in November, sun angle is low and the ice you can build ice and you can have a great skating season November and December. Typically, we don't get ice until, usually around Christmas time sometimes. So, and from an economic benefit, I actually looked this up. In payroll at the pizza company, our payroll is 42% in November of what it is in July. And that is a huge hit for our workers who don't have the hours and the job and the income. By providing economic benefit and an attraction, something for people to do here in November, we enable an increase. We have lots of hotel rooms that are empty. We have lots of places for people to stay. We have lots of seats at restaurants. And in November and December, we see very little business. I know Christmas stroll is very busy, but it's only busy for 2 days. And so on either side of that, it gives the ability for those folks to come in. Family-friendly was winter tourism, and then also improved benefits in the summer in terms of for art in the park and the farmers market having better surfaces. Again, the outdoor nature of this is a lot of fun. You know, some would say snow is a disadvantage on the ice, and it does from a management standpoint, it's hard, but it does also make it iconic and the fun that the kids can have out in the snow. So doing this does align with the growth policy, and I think it's important to recognize that in improving community health and livability, preserving long-standing community character and tradition, and expanding inclusive public space, right, and strengthening our winter tourism as well. You know, really, when you look at the grant that we talk about, a lot of the main purpose of the grant is to build capacity and things for people to do in times where we don't have as much, so that we can increase our winter tourism. We see that with the resort tax. You know, we make the city sees a significant amount of resort tax income that supports our parks, by the way, in the summer, but we don't in that winter season, and so this would help boost this. In terms of the community pilot tourism grant, we held a community forum just again at the beginning of this to gain some community feedback, and we heard some great stuff. Lots of positives in terms of a longer skating season, improved quality and safety, the improved economic ability, accessibility was really important to a lot of folks, and obviously outdoor youth and adult recreation. You know, being able to be outside in the winter for kids especially, there's not, if you can't afford to go skiing, there's not a lot of outdoor activities in our community for kids, and this is a huge one that they can do. Especially with the support for the Boys and Girls Clubs in terms of getting them skates, it is really economical for them to be able to do this. But we also heard lots of concerns about neighborhood compatibility, uncontrollable growth, loss of green space, and increased park usage was a big one. More people using the park was a concern. Traffic, speeding, and parking. And then there was a bunch of questions about process, right? It really wasn't negative or positive in terms of outcome, but just where we were in process and what we had done. And I think, again, not understanding that we're in the beginning of this process here. Busy days, right, in terms of addressing some of these concerns. One of the busiest times actually on the ice is our youth skating program. We get about up to 50 kids that show up. And in terms of when you have the most people actually on the ice and in the park, it's Saturday mornings when we're doing youth skating. And the area manages that very well. I've never had any issue with parking there, parking relatively close. I think there are some moments, I'll talk about these, but this is what it kind of looks like on a Saturday morning. Kids outside having fun, using our park. This would extend. The most important thing is we would add 2 months to their ability to be out there using the ice and skating, which actually, in a sense, will reduce some of the peak moments, because if you extend it out, there's less of a rush to get there when it's, if you only have a short amount of time, everybody wants to go at the same. You spread out the time, it allows more time to use the park. Hockey actually, for the most part, has a slightly less impact on the number of people in the park. Typically, on a busy hockey thing, you have 10 people on the ice and 10 people on the bench, 20 people, and maybe some people watching. The one exception to that is when we do big tournaments, there's a lot more people watching. But usually during hockey, even in our night stuff, usually there's, 20 to 30 people there. But, there's a few nights a week that we do league hockey, so you have a lot of people using the park often. And that's, can be good. Again, here's another rendering of what the vision of this is. I just kind of caution not to get focused on too much for details. because this is not a formal proposal, and it's not, this is not an engineering diagram. It is the scale, like I said earlier, but this is what it could look like for Parks Board. And we actually, because you get rid of the slopes that go up and down, you actually make much more usable green space, because it's all, it levels out, and you can walk through it and move through it much more easily. We did hear a lot of community concerns, and the hope is that with landscaping that we can actually improve the aesthetic in the park. And there was some concern that people are talking about building a parking lot in the park, which I think was meant to be exaggeration. There's no parking on the ice rink. It would not be a parking lot. It would be a community recreation area. And then there's no roof. And there is no proposal for the roof. There has, that essence of the community is that outdoor rink. They're actually building 2 indoor rinks in Billings. And we have to differentiate ourselves by being a lot of people come from Billings because they can be outside here, right? And so this emphasizes that. The increased park usage, I think the highest days will continue to be things like the Fun Run. Fun Run will continue to be the highest day. I don't think there's any other park usage that exceeds the Fun Run. Farmers Market, Art in the Park are big days. The Learn to Skate days are going to be Saturday mornings are going to be the big days. And then there's a hockey tournament weekend that tends to be very big. Essentially, operationally, this will become much more efficient by doing this, which will make it easier and better. And we looked at alternative locations. Coal Miners Park is the parking lot in there. There's not room to keep the parking and move the ice rink to Coal Miners Park. There's just not enough space there. Field School Park, you could fit it in Field School Park if you got rid of the tennis courts. Considering the recent investment in the tennis courts, I think that would probably be an unlikely option. Up by the apartments on top of the hill on White Street, really, that's not parkland, it's city land, but it's really the prime location for additional affordable housing, since that's what's up there now. And putting the ice rink where you could put affordable housing puts more stress on where we have affordable housing. And the putting it on Rodeo Road, again, that's already an area that sees a lot of use and has a lot of parking issues. There's no water, there's no sewer, and there's no electricity there. So a big expense to bring all that stuff into that location. I think that's all I got.
Looking at the energy and dissolve concept, as far as your diagrams, you mentioned at one point about regrading the whole park. So was that, because there's a pretty good elevation change from the gazebo down to where the ice skating rink is.
Yeah.
When you walk down to the farmer's market, you go, are you talking about grading that so it's all pretty much one elevation?
No, I think the easiest way to explain this would be if you look at the grade of the sidewalk, it would be grading it so it matches the grade of the sidewalk. So the sidewalk makes a relatively even, it doesn't go up and down, it's an even, smooth thing. So you would, I don't know how much we could do in here. It would be nice to smooth this area out, but the concrete would have to be level. So it would be lower here still and raised here to be level, but you would grade this to match that, would be the thing. But you wouldn't have the big dips that you have now.
Do you have any questions from the board?
How big is the current rink?
The current rink is about 80 by 200, and this would be 85 by 200. So it's pretty close to the same.
So that's not official hockey.
It is 85 by 200 is official hockey.
Official hockey rink size.
Yep.
Has there been any concept plans about moving the basketball courts, which are concrete, they could be on the
Absolutely,
pad
absolutely
in
could
the
happen.
future, so
Yep.
that could be.
Absolutely could happen, yep. Yeah, you could put, either permanent or, a movable, basketball courts there. My preference personally is more towards permanent because when you start doing things that have to be moved in and out seasonally, it becomes more challenging. But it wouldn't affect the hockey piece at all to have basketball courts on the edge there.
I guess you've seen all the suggestions other people have.
I've heard lots of suggestions. I will not say I've seen all because, I mean, we have pages and pages of input, yes.
I wonder if you have taken into consideration a portable rink that would do what you want it to do and remove it in the summer.
Yeah, so the portable rinks are ultimately an option, right, and would be an improvement over where, so you have to do what we're talking about in phase one, and then you would, because you get that level flat surface, and then you can run a portable rink on top of that. Portable rinks are very expensive. And so, and they're a lot to move in and out, and they have a lot of wear and tear on them. And so, that would be the trade-off.
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah.
And
They're
have you skated on them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ann. They are used frequently for special events. So like, like some communities will, like if you were to go to like Metro doesn't do this anymore, but, if you were to go to like an arena, like if you look at it and they lay out a hockey arena, a lot of times they're using a portable.
They'll use it, it's good enough for hockey for them.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, portable, you can make good ice with a portable rink.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's just expensive to do it.
Well, everything is expensive.
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
that
yeah.
should not be a barrier
Yep.
to anything. Would you consider this, or have you dug your heels in on this?
Again, this is the beginning of the process, so, we have done some research on that, and it doesn't appear that economically that it works very well, but there's no digging their heels in anything. I mean, ultimately what we're trying to do is create something that's as good as we can get for the community, and that's the goal, and so.
But I think the community is also the neighborhood, and I hope you'll consider that.
There's never been a moment where we haven't considered that, or I haven't at least. So
I hope you will.
Yeah, that has always been part of the consideration, and I mean, just maybe say from a personal level, because there have been some from the community have been attacking me a little bit personally, but that the piece is that this is the beginning of a process that has had a long vision. It's had 20 years of vision to improve this rink, and we have made incrementally. But here we are to talk about how to do it best, right? And yes, we have a vision, but the vision, we want to focus on how we can, build ice, build quality ice, and create an outdoor environment for our kids, for our community members, so they can be outside in the winter doing physical activity. And this area and this rink is used by hundreds and hundreds of people, and every week it's used by hundreds and hundreds of people. And that I think it's probably, in the time period that's operated, it's definitely the most used city park. Dog park might be a close second, but it's definitely, in terms of having people on it all day, all the time. When the ice is good, people are skating, from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night.
Tom, I've had some experience with portable rinks, and they're very labor intensive as far as setting up and taking down. It's really hard on the equipment in the long run, just the equipment takes a beating moving around. But you'd have portable dashboards or whatever.
Yeah. So like in the summer, it would just be look like a concrete slab essentially, and then in the winter you would put up the boards to surround it. So the boards would not be there in the summer.
I have a couple questions about the site. You know, I understand everything you're saying about the site being centrally located in the community. It's a good place that people can walk back and forth to. It's close to dining opportunities and shopping and that type of thing. But it is very constrained. It's a very small site. And my question is, looking down the road, 10, 25, even 50 years, is that going to be the long-term answer to skating in Red Lodge? And I guess the second part of that question is the impact on the neighborhood in that area. Did you folks, I know you said you've kept the neighborhood in your mind the whole time that you're coming up with this concept, but has there been any kind of a parking or a traffic study done? Because part of this project.
I think I can answer your question, and I'll answer it two ways. And first part of the question, second part, and then maybe follow up if I didn't answer your question. The first part is the area is a little bit constrained, but I think it provides an amenity that would last for 50 years, yes. And I think it would be very adequate for that time period. In terms of traffic, this is 300 yards from the highest visited commercial business in our community. Right?
Yes.
The IGA, the Beartooth Market is right at the end of this. And so it is unlikely that in terms of traffic, right, that 20 people skating is going to add a lot to the traffic count when you're talking about, you go from, you have the Beartooth Market, very high use, and then the next business down this road is the Ace Hardware, right? And so there's high traffic requirement businesses literally right next to this. And so that's the neighborhood too, is already high traffic. And so, the kids going skating aren't going to add a ton of traffic in terms of comparison to what you already get for the Beartooth Market. That's not a traffic study, that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, part of this project is because it is a tourism grant.
Yeah.
To attract more use to the area.
Yeah. And I think, the goal would be to see more park usage, 100%. That would be the goal. In a spread out time frame. Again, I think you start, one of the things about the ice rink is it is limiting in terms of numbers. No one wants to be there if there's 100 people on the ice, right? Like, so you never see those large crowds. What you tend to see is more consistent crowds. Usually there's 20 people there or 30 people there. I spent a lot of time at the ice rink, and again, I've never not been able to park right next to the rink. Like it's
not like Rockefeller Center.
No, it's not going to be Rockefeller Center. There might be moments, right? Like, again, I think the farmers market probably actually attracts the most people on a regular basis. So that's, could there be a better location for that? I don't know. I mean, that's that's probably on the Saturday morning or farmers markets, it's probably one of the highest traffic times that this area gets.
You stated that there won't be a cover or a roof over the.
Yeah.
You don't think you'd see that in the future?
No, I don't.
Because sunlight is one of the most damaging things.
It is, but I think that's the differentiating piece is to build something that is outdoor, and that's what makes it unique and keeps our community character to it. It is very expensive to build a cover over it, but I think. I can't say that, I can't say what a council or a parks board would want to do in 40 years, but, to me, I think the essential piece that makes it special and makes what people want to come is that it's outside. So people can be and enjoy something that is outside.
Any other questions from the board? Other questions? Okay, we're going to open up to,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. We're going to open up to citizens' comments. As I mentioned before, we're going to hold you to 3 minutes per comment.
I have a question.
Well, just a second, please.
You haven't been called on yet.
Hold on a second. You're getting ahead of me here. We're going to
I'll make life easier here.
We're going to 3 minutes. I ask that let's not try to repeat same issues, because we all want to get home sometime tonight, right? We could be here all night if we did that. So if an issue comes up, let's say parking, and if you agree with that issue, you can just stand up and say, I agree with whatever the person before said, but let's not rehash the same thing over and over. And I'll time you for 3 minutes. I know this is a very emotional issue for some people, but please, let's be courteous and let's be respectful of each other. Don't make me use the gavel. I don't want to have to do that. So with that starting, when you come up and make a comment, please identify who you are and also if you're a resident of Red Lodge or Carbon County, that type of thing.
And if you'll come up to the podium right here, the recording will be able to hear you better.
Okay? And you're first.
Thank you. My name is Don Kenny. I'm from Carbon County. Tom, something that's new to me. I thought you were going to put the ice right where it is now. What I'm hearing you say here, you want to have the ice down on the flat area?
No, the ice where the ice would be where it is currently today.
All right. Period.
Yes.
Why do you need concrete to do it?
It has to do with cooling. It's the ability that you can lay a thin layer of ice on top of the concrete, and with the cooling underneath it, that thin layer of ice becomes
there's cooling rods in the
concrete. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a firm that's doing this, or do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Do you have a firm that?
No, well, this is stage one planning stage. There are many companies that do this, but no, we haven't got anybody to do it.
I did a lot of research, and this is the one that I like the best. Somebody said, and there's a price in there, and I talked to the gentleman, and or the owner of the company, I guess, and I told him, I said, I don't know what these guys want, but they might need new sideboards, they might need whatever. Just put the highest price, you replace everything. What's the price? Bang. You said earlier that it's very expensive for a system like this, where you put it in and to take it down. These guys have been doing that for 20 years, a long time, right? And so it's no different. And what he's saying is that he comes out, he can do it himself. I mean, you'll charge him.
$27,000.
No, not every year.
Yes, it says $27,000 every year.
But the point being is that you get what you pay for, and if you want new sideboards and you want real set down with the hockey guys, they're in penalty boxes and all this other stuff, there's a price for that. Whatever you guys want is fine. I have no issue with the ice, period. I have great issue with putting concrete in there. It's not needed.
Okay, thank you.
Agree.
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 Agree. We have a lot of agrees out here. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
I'm Richard Gessling. I live in Carbon County. I've worked in that park for 37 years. Mowing the lawn, trimming the trees, trimming it all up. And I don't want to see concrete in that area, especially when there's an ability to have an ice rink that has cold ice in the winter, and you can roll it up and leave it right there to be unrolled again next winter, and have grass growing where the ice is during the winter. And I think it's a good idea to flatten that whole area. because it's dangerous. And I think that's a very good improvement to get that thing flat, and that's the biggest complaint of the park. And if you mow the park, you'll know how rough it is. And we, in fact, had one of our Lions Club members roll his mowing machine once. So, but I don't want a concrete pad there. I just think it's a park. It ought to be green in the summer, and I support the ice in the winter, and I think it's a great place for it to be.
Richard, Richard, thank you for your work with the Lions Club in maintaining the park. Okay, who's next?
My name's Seth Decker. I'm a resident of Red Lodge. I own 5 properties in town, in Ward 1 and in Ward 3. Since the news broke on November 19th about the proposed projects funded by the Montana Department of Commerce Pilot Tourism Grant, many community members have expressed shock and concern. I have sent multiple requests for information regarding these projects, but have received either no response or have been directed by the Red Lodge Area Community Foundation to contact the city, only to have the city refer me back to the steering committee at pctgp@rlacf.org, the group responsible for administering the pilot tourism grant. I appreciate that the Parks Board is represented by members of the steering committee, namely Tom Coons. I'll direct my questions to Tom and the Parks Board, but I believe the Parks Board is operating with minimal and insufficient information. As the saying goes, history repeats itself, and it appears we are once again at a critical juncture concerning the proposed permanent construction of a 200 by 85 foot, 16,000 square foot concrete slab with cooling coils, 2 additional structures in Lions Park. In 1996, I believe the city considered a proposal to build the Red Lodge Boys and Girls Club in Lions Park. I have a letter of objection to that as well. Concern from that time, fortunately, the city council back then recognized the significance of Lions Park to the community. Over the years, multiple city administrations have dedicated themselves to preserving the value of Lions Park, starting from the original city purchase in 1927 by Gretchen Arndt's father. Through various mayors, including Richard Gessling, Brian Rote, Betsy Scanlon. Tom, what is the permanent plan for parking at this multi-seasonal, multi-use event center that will not adversely affect local residents, businesses, and according to the Montana Cadastral, which I have the property stuff here too, Lions Park, the property factor state parking type NA, parking quantity NA, parking proximity NA. It has been suggested that the ultimate vision includes paving over the triangle adjacent to the park to create additional parking and potentially adding a roof over the 16,000 square foot concrete section. As a resident and taxpayer in the city, my request to the city, the Tourism Grant Steering Committee, and the board is simple. The public deserves full transparency regarding projects that impact the entire community. I would like to see information posted publicly on the city's website, Red Lodge Area Community Foundation, social media, newspapers, flyers, sky banners, I don't care. Why are the Tourism Grant Steering Committee meetings closed to the public? Why is this committee working on projects funded by public tax dollars behind closed doors without the knowledge of other city committees, boards, and city council? I'm requesting to see the selection process of how the steering committee members were chosen, vetted, and how they represent the areas affected by their proposals. My research indicates that not one member of the steering committee lives in close proximity to the proposed projects, suggesting that they may be disconnected from local impact. Why is there no representation from the neighborhoods being considered for these projects on this committee? I got it.
Would you like to?
Yep, I can give this to you. Yep.
Right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
If you want quickly, I could just address a couple of the questions that Seth addressed. And I think the key piece is that this is the first step. So part of why you may be not finding lots of information is that it hasn't been proposed to the city yet. And so that's why there's not tons of information out there. This is the first proposal. We haven't made a proposal yet, and the city hasn't considered anything. This has not gone to the council. There has been discussions of a process, but there has never been a proposal. And
Steering committee?
what's that?
Why is the mayor on the steering
Well,
committee?
hold on.
So I think the piece is that there is a grant, but there is a process that it has to go through, and we're just beginning that process. And so, there's lots of opportunity here, and community. So the first meeting on the 19th was to get community feedback, as is this meeting. So, there's lots of good feedback here, and so you say, all right, I'll tell you what's going through my mind just quickly, which is, all right, let's maybe spend more time and a bit more money to figure out, could we do this without concrete? Right? That's what you guys are proposing. So, but you have to get that kind of feedback, and you look to do that in this kind of a forum. And that's how you just. So here we are. So we're getting feedback, and the Parks Board is not planning to make a decision on anything tonight, and as far as I know, at least. And I think the piece here is that this gives an opportunity for feedback, and then we can do the research to figure out if there's ways to go. It's just part of the process.
Is there a plan to pave over the triangle?
No, I have made the suggestion of removing. This is just me personally, and talking to the Public Works Director, that in terms of trying to create more grass and less pavement, that from a traffic standpoint, that triangle is not actually very good. You don't like to have 45 degrees angles in traffic. You like to have 90 degrees. So if you get rid of the driveway, but that was just a conversation.
That was related to the EDA street project.
Yeah, it's not to do with the ice rink or the grant.
It was
nothing to do with that.
Okay, can we move on with
Yep, sorry.
comments? Yes.
Don't trip me.
Hi, I'm Joan Klein, and I live on North Hagen. I have a question for Tom. Is this grant, does it have a time limit on it?
Yes.
Do you have to have your ducks in a row by X amount
So
of time?
the first part of this grant, primarily for the ice rink, is what we have to accomplish first is planning, and we have not spent $1 of grant money on planning yet.
Okay.
So none of the grant money that would go into planning and engineering design has been spent.
Okay. Then, at the public meeting on the 19th, it was indicated that if certain guidelines were met, there's more money available down the road.
That's correct.
And that is like $1 million something.
Yes.
Okay.
That additional money is not allocated towards the ice rink.
But it is the total grant.
Yes, but the grant.
I know it's not specifically going to go to the rink.
No.
Which I totally support the rink. I find it hard to use the farmers market as an arguing point for the concrete. And I understand that the farmers market is vital to this community. It's probably in the park. If you do the hours that they're spent there, I'm going to say with the months that they're there, and I'm talking fast, it's maybe 120 hours a year in that park. They have used the Roosevelt several times. Well, for Thanksgiving, they're going to do a Christmas one there. So they're handicap accessible, which is very important for the farmers market, so everybody can take advantage of all of that. I personally think there's plenty of places for the farmers market to be, even in Doug Brown Field or whatever. So I find it not quite valuable to use the farmers market as an argument.
Thank you.
Agree.
You have a comment?
Oh, me?
Yeah, or are you just agreeing?
I was agreeing on that
Okay.
one.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jeff Anderson, and I've lived here for a long time. And I, in fact, was the sole person flooding the rink from 1993 to 2006 and shoveling it, mostly by myself. So I can understand. The problem they have is they flood it this deep. I have never flooded it more than this deep. I would, using a fire hose, and an ice berm around it, just spray it down every night. And so I understand a lot about making the ice and how much trouble it is. But my objection is the same one that everybody else has, the concrete. And the lawn is used a tremendous amount. People running their dogs there, kids playing soccer there, etc. The concrete slab will be just a parking lot. That's all it'll appear to be in the summer. And I object to that, like everyone else. So that's my comments.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Agree. Agree.
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
All right, Beth.
Beth Hutchinson, I live in town. When I moved to Red Lodge 19 years ago, I was leaving a landscape architecture program in Kentucky. So I feel competent in making some comments about the use of this land. The way it is right now with a green space, it's actually green, it's open, it's amenable in all seasons. People have put an immense amount of effort and funds into making it a pleasant place to be. And guests that come from out of town and people I've run into, because for a while I was the director of the chamber, all love it. Why destroy something that people love? Now, I'm not the least bit opposed to an ice rink. I feel from a landscape architecture point of view and from having recently gone around to virtually all the places that you named, Tom, that in the hands of someone who is good at designing, almost all of them can be made to work, and they offer solutions to all the problems that have been named. Furthermore, the concrete so close to town where there's so much paving and concrete is not a pleasant thing to have added to. If you were to move it as close as Field Park, I suspect it would fit if you didn't think in rectangular orthogonal methods, that it could go catty-cornered. That park is not all that amenable. It's got sort of grass, it's got lovely tennis courts and so forth, but I think you could probably get it in there, and it would be moving it just a little bit. It still may disturb neighbors, and of course we want to know how that will come about and so forth. If it were put up by the high school, I can see lots of advantages, and once more, I don't have enough background to say absolutely, but if it were located up there, and you're talking about tourists, a parent with multiple kids, one kid wants to skate, one kid can go sledding. You want your children to be able to be within your experience. Furthermore, a wonderful educational program could be organized with the high school students. It could also be used multi-purpose with tennis court access, I think, if you can do other things on the concrete. So it would be a much better place. And as far as what stage you are, I think half the hysteria, and I hope you would agree, is the communication, because everything I was able to read about it sounded like a done deal, rather than still being at the exploratory level. Agree.
Any other comments?
Facebook isn't always your place for accurate information.
Pardon?
I said Facebook isn't the best place for accurate information always.
Well, we haven't gotten any information.
What about city council meetings that we've
It hasn't been
going through?
presented to them yet.
Hold on. We have another person who wants to make a comment.
From somebody else?
Yes.
Sure.
Hi, my name's Deborah Scheffner. I live in Carbon County. This letter is from Barry Bowles, who lives up on the golf course. Feel like there's a little bit cut off on the top, so I'll just kind of ad-lib it. What? Should have brought a bottle of water.
Sorry about that. My name is Barry Bowles. It is not. And I am a Red Lodge resident of nearly 15 years with more than 20 years of connection to this community. As a local business owner and longtime volunteer, I have invested deeply in this town. Red Lodge's character, history, and sense of belonging are why I chose to make it my home. I learned of the proposed permanent cement pad at Lions Park only after seeing a post on Red Lodge Buzz. Until then, I had no knowledge of the proposal or its scope. After contacting Councilmember Jody Ronning and visiting the park to better understand the plan, I spoke with Tom Kuntz, who emphasized the proposal was not a done deal and that public input would occur after city approval. Lions Park is a treasured and heavily used space. I have hosted family events, catered nonprofit functions, and served roughly 700 people at community gatherings there. The north side of the park is consistently used by families, children's nonprofits, sports teams, and visitors. This is not an underutilized area. Because the park serves so many people in so many ways, projects of this scale require proactive communication with both nearby residents and the organizations that rely on this space. Outreach may still be planned, but early and transparent involvement is essential when considering long-term changes to a historic community park. To be clear, I'm not opposed to winter skating or hockey. I support seasonal recreation that benefits residents, visitors, and businesses. My concern is the permanence and scale of this proposal and the lack of meaningful early community involvement. Long-term alterations to a historic city park should never come as a surprise to residents. I'm also concerned that tourism benefits are being assumed without data. If we build it, they will come, is not a planning strategy. Comparing Red Lodge to Rapid City population 82,000 is unrealistic. I also do not understand how winter skating alone would generate steady tourism revenue. Has any study or economic analysis been conducted to support this claim? Before moving here, I lived in West Yellowstone, where winter tourism is a challenge. Their new proposals always began with outreach to residents and business owners because decisions directly shaped community life and the local economy. Public input was essential, not optional. Permanent infrastructure also tends to expand over time. The cement pad can lead to additional elements, such as more lighting, partial enclosure, or even a roof. Karis Park in Missoula is one example of how a relatively simple space evolved into a full event pavilion. And I hear your little noise. And
finish the paragraph, please.
You can finish it because you started it.
Okay, thank you so much. West Yellowstone, permanent infrastructure also tends to expand over time. A cement pad can lead to additional elements such as more lighting, partial enclosure, or even a roof. While that may be appropriate for a larger city, it is not necessarily what many residents envision for Lions Park. When I asked Tom Kuntz about the rumors that the triangle section of the park might become a parking lot, he confirmed that this was his personal vision. I would appreciate assurance that if this project moves forward, there will be clear limits in place to prevent incremental expansion that could permanently change the character of the park over time. I would also like to clarify on whether public input is required by the grant. Many state and federal grants involving public land or tourism infrastructure require documented community engagement. If so, limited early communication is concerning. Rumors about procedural reclassification to bypass public input requirements while unverified further highlight public concerns about transparency. Lions Park is one of the most peaceful and beloved spaces in Red Lodge. Families gather here, children play here, neighbors connect here, and the spirit of our town is deeply rooted in this space. Its simplicity and open green areas cannot be recreated once they are paved. If we lose this, we lose something irreplaceable. I recognize that serving in city government is challenging and public interest often increases only when issues deeply resonate. The strong community response reflects how much people care, not a rejection of your service. After the hardships Red Lodge has endured, COVID, political division, a major flood, and a fire, working together on this issue could help us move forward constructively. Collaboration and compromise may lead to a better outcome for everyone. I do not know if this would be the best location or what the best alternative would be, but I hope the town can work together to identify a solution that truly benefits all. Thank you for your time and service. I also understand how much work goes into writing grants and how significant it is to be awarded one that is so competitive. I simply ask that as you move forward, you consider not only the logistical aspects of this prospect, but also the emotional, historical, and cultural significance of Lions Park. I look forward to open, community-centered dialogue about winter recreation.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Decker, and I live over on White, and I am Seth's wife. Although during the November 24th Land Use and Planning Committee meeting, when Tom Kuntz gave his recap of the very first informational meeting regarding the pilot community tourism grant, Rod Bastian posed the question, do the boards or committees have any veto power? To which Tom answers and Chelsea confirms that these boards and committees may only provide a recommendation. So I'm not a government person, and so all of this, but you know, that seems a little bit concerning to me. So I just want to ask you guys and maybe Mike some questions. When they had the trench open doing like the water lines at Villard and 6th, my friend Gretchen, you know, she always checks outside, and she came over and asked a construction worker there, because a lot of them would let her know, you know, like how long the water would be off, and she asked him what was taking so long. And he said, you know, because she's out there the whole time, she might be sitting in a chair, but she's going to make sure that her yard is taken care of. And his response was, they had to add additional water lines because the mayor wanted them for an ice rink. So I don't know that this is true, but that's why we're asking, because
the reason we moved those water lines, the lines that ran through the park right underneath the existing rink, are old cast iron lines. Part of what we're trying to do is get rid of all cast iron lines. And so that was in play. We came in under budget on the project that we were doing. That project was funded with a loan that has 50% forgiveness, so it's like a grant. So, and a lot of moving parts. We have the EDA street project that's going to repave that this spring. I didn't want to come in later and replace those lines. And we have new pavement. We had a chance to do the work for half the price. We added it to the contract to get it done before the street project.
Okay, so that's why I wanted.
And it took out the line we filled the rink with. It pulled it out.
Okay. So you understand when there's all of this stuff, but there's not good information on this stuff.
No, but I would say call me.
Yeah.
If you have questions.
Well,
ask.
Don't
ask the guys in the yellow hats out there.
So the reason that I wanted to ask was because we told Gretchen we didn't think that that wasn't something to worry about. But because of the lack of information that we've gotten regarding these things, you think back to things, because she told us at the time, because I mow Gretchen's yard, and I actually weed eat around the trees in the triangle. And back in the day, when Gretchen moved there over 30 years ago, her neighbor Marie, who used to live in the blue house across from the triangle, was mowing it with a push mower. And so she asked Gretchen. Gretchen would haul a hose over there, and then she would go have a beer, and then she'd move the water back when Sam's was across the way. So that was just a question I wanted to clear up. That's why I wanted to.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yep.
Time, but you heard it from.
Yep, I heard it.
The source.
Okay. Why would we not add an additional park in another location rather than taking away and replacing this one with concrete? We have kids walking on 78 all the time. I walk there with my dog because I have to come down, if there's snow or ice, you're pushed into traffic, and people not paying attention already cross that white line. Why would we not add an additional park either up there? There's no playgrounds on either side of town. Why not add a park with a playground instead of taking away from the multi-use? I worked for Special Olympics the last 2.5 years. The Rowdies actually practice there, and I worked throughout the state. One of the hardest things to find is a flat field where they can practice for state summer games. That's not an organized, field that you have to schedule. So the Rowdies use it. Eagle Mount clubs come and use it. Schools doing field trips to the museum use it all the time. They bring balls, picnics. So I just wanted to say that accessibility doesn't always mean pavement, because power chairs can run on grass.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Yes.
Well, did I run out of my minute?
Give it to Hope, give it to Hope.
Okay.
Yeah, and.
Number 10, and it's these pictures. It's all written out.
Okay, Hope, you're up.
This is about
3 minutes, Hope.
the stewardship of Lions Park. Was the Parks Board aware of the complaints made with the mayor in May and June of the garbage, pallets, fire pits left by Red Lodge Ice since mid-February when the ice was closed? Council members Ann and Patty were there. I will attach pics. I'll show these to you. It was the end of June when the ICE members arrived to clean up their mess, but still the broken mirror ball hangs in Lions Park. What about the plastic they leave on the sidewalk and post on Red Lodge Buzz about for people to come pick up if they want it? It stays, well, kind of. It blows around and neighbors fold it up again. Is the sentiment of Red Lodge Ice, the fun's over for the year, someone else can clean it up? And these are the pictures that were taken of the trash there at the end of the season.
In June.
In June.
Okay. I took them.
And took them. This is an old barbecue pit that was, or barbecue that was left there. And an old grate where the fire pit was in the winter, and still there in June.
And here's the rest of the letter.
And the rest.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments?
You have people online.
Oh, Becky? Becky.
You guys may have received this letter already. The Carbon County Historic Preservation, Hi, I'm Becky Van Horn. I'm the Carbon County Historic Preservation Officer. The Carbon County Historic Preservation Commission members have discussed the proposed project for the Red Lodge Ice Rink located at Lions Park. This historic public park is adjacent to the High Bug Historic District in the Red Lodge Commercial Historic District. Kate Hampton, Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer and Community Preservation Coordinator of the Montana Historical Society, confirmed the park is eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. The Carbon County Historic Preservation Officer and Historic Preservation Commission would like additional information in order to ascertain the impact of the project the impact that the project may have on the integrity of the historic resource. It is the position of the Carbon County Historic Preservation Commission that the historical integrity of Lions Park may be diminished by the introduction of any large permanent structures. Attached to this letter is a copy of the 1901 Sanborn plat map showing that this area has been a public park since the early 1900s and therefore is a historic green space. And then I have a letter here from Kate Hampton. Dear Becky, thank you for your inquiry regarding Lions Park and Red Lodge. The property has historic associations with the city's residential, recreational, and civic development, and retains sufficient integrity to convey its significance. The park is eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. When considering a property's National Register eligibility, the evaluation includes not only significance, but also whether the place retains sufficient integrity to convey that significance. Under the National Register guidelines, there are 7 aspects of integrity: location, setting, design, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. For a landscape property like a park, integrity of design, setting, feeling, and association are particularly important. Several non-historic structures appear in the historic park. The introduction of additional structures has the potential to diminish the park's ability to convey its historic association and could render it ineligible for listing. As you know, National Register property owners manage their properties as they see fit. Under federal law, the listing of a property on the National Register places no restriction on what non-federal owners may do with their property up to and including destruction, unless the property is involved in a project that receives federal assistance, usually funding or licensing or permitting. At the state and federal levels, listing and eligibility do not impact an owner's right to use, alter, or demolish their properties. The State Historic Preservation Office has no jurisdiction to influence local decision-making processes. Thank you, and please let me know if you would like more information about the National Register evaluation. Kate Hampton, Deputy Historic Preservation Officer. And I brought receipts on the age of the park instead of just saying it. So included in this packet is the 1901 Sanborn map that shows it as a public park. Many of you have probably seen that on Facebook already. Additional documents include Hybug Considered Top Area article, where Betsy Scanlon, our mayor at the time, was quoted, and also the article from the newspaper in the Carbon County News, where it depicts the acquirement of the land in 1927. So there's a lot of other things in here that should be fun to read. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Park Board members. You provide a great service to our town. Parks are very important, and I'm a big fan of those. I'm also a big fan of Tom Kuntz and his brother, for that matter. And I'm probably the one that has skated there the longest. When I was a kid, there was still a railroad coming up to the depot. So that tells you how long I've been there. And I skated on that pond, and we skated when I grew up. And I helped my husband shovel it when he was single-handedly flooding it. So I know that it's come a long ways, and I want to give special kudos to the Ice Club for coming this far, because not only have they improved this, but they have congealed families in this community that come there to put up the barriers, the boundaries of it, and put in the liner. And they're there with the Zamboni, and it makes it look so good, really. And it takes a lot less water the way it is. And they've really made it what it is today. And I want to give them credit for that. However, I live a block away, and for the last at least 3 years, I have been blinded, I tell you, blinded by the spotlights, which is like football stadium lights. And 3 years I've come and said, please, could you put shields on that? And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for listening to me. They still aren't shielded. And I think with, increased use there, and you say there's only been 20 at a time, 50 at a time, what you're anticipating will be longer season, more people, more parking, we're talking traffic, things that haven't been studied yet. And I'm pleased to know we're just at the beginning of this process, because it did appear that it was a done deal. And I think that's what raised everybody's anxiety. Why weren't we consulted about this, and have part of designing this? I will say that for those people that live out of town, in large lot subdivisions, I'm on the county planning board, you've got lots of grass to play with. You've got a lot of fun right in your doorstep. We don't in the city. This grass at Pride Park, at Lions Park, is the single central park of our town. It's accessible from every aspect, by bicycle, by foot. And to take away a good chunk, what's left of the grass in this park is a travesty. I'll just put that out there. For a niche activity, for defying nature, because when you get those warm days in November, as we did this year, and you do in March, it's slush. I don't care what you got underneath that cement. You're not going to skate on it. It's not. You can't defy the fact that skating is a season. So I will say, and as a resident of Ward 1, a block away, blinded by the lights, watching the traffic, 1 out of 3 cars goes 15 miles an hour there. 1 already. Farmers market is a great thing on weekends. We love it. We love being able to get there. And it's a beloved community activity. There's no reason they can't continue to be there. Why do they want to be in a parking lot anywhere? They're in the grass.
Can we wrap it up, please?
So, again, thank you. I believe the sentiment is shared that this needs to be looked into further, and appreciate the fact that we appreciate grass, no cement. Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments? Oh, yes, sir.
Tom Coley, city resident. So I feel compelled to just put this conversation into perspective a little bit. A lot of the argument around tonight's discussion is centered around the loss of green space in our parks. I'll use parks plural. However, have you guys been paying attention to what's going on in other parks? I mean, we are losing the same amount of green space, if not more, in Coal Miners Park because of a tennis court proposal. Where are you guys? I mean, I get your concern around this one park, but love all your parks, not just one, please.
We
Okay?
didn't know, Tom.
We didn't
know. Well, we're behind you if we didn't know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we agree. We agree.
Okay, any more comments? Right in the back here.
Yes.
Oh, somebody here.
Do you want to go online, or do you want to finish
Yeah,
the room first? Okay.
When whoever's in the room finishes, I would like to speak. Victoria Porter, online.
Okay, we hear you.
I'm Tressa, I live on Hauser, and I have a question for you though. So you said there was a timeline on the grant, right? That everything has to be completed, or there's a timeline for the grant to be completed. So what is that timeline?
Totally, it's a 4-year grant, but there's steps that go through that. I'm not the best expert on the grant criteria.
So everything has to be done within the 4 years, or?
I'm not an expert. I don't know all the details on the grant, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been involved with it, but that's a very detailed question that I don't want to answer. Okay. That's wrong.
So you wouldn't know then that I don't know if it's called the bylaws or the rules to the grant, to even getting the grant, was that it had to be for projects that already had community support and that were already shovel-ready. And so this isn't shovel-ready, and it obviously doesn't have community support. So how is it that that's even legal as far as the grant goes?
I think 2 pieces. One is, the vision for this project is independent of the grant. I think there's a really important thing to say there, that the vision for this project exists exterior to the grant. The grant doesn't exist, this project still does exist. So not getting the grant or not having the grant funding is not going to stop the vision for the project, just to be very clear on that piece.
So you would go forward, the grant has nothing to do with the ice skating rink then going forward and
Yeah, the grant
being
helps to
created.
facilitate it, but it's not a requirement of
You
moving.
would find your own funding to
Yes,
complete this project upon the city's approval.
yes.
Okay, so the city would be the ones to approve, and obviously. But, as far as the city goes then, have you guys ever, you have to consider that there is more time in the year that the green space is utilized than a few months of skating, and 4 hours on a Saturday for 2 months that the farmer's market is going on. So there's a lot more time that the community and tourists and everyone else uses the green space than the ice skating. And I love the ice skating. I live right across the street, and I am blinded by those lights, by the way, right through my windows. But, it's fun. It's a great community activity. And like everyone else, I just am not keen on the idea of paving over a place that gets utilized so much by so many people, even tourists that come, to Red Lodge. So that's my.
Can we get your name again, please?
Oh, Teresa.
Teresa?
Tafoya.
Tafoya?
Mm-hmm. And I live right across the street on
You
Hauser.
need to have that spelled.
T-A-F as in Frank, O-Y-A. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Agreed.
Do we have any more comments from the audience here? Going once?
I said I wanted to speak. I'm online.
I haven't forgotten about you.
Oh, okay. You're asking for present. Okay, never mind.
Okay. It looks like you have the ability now, the opportunity to speak up. You just
Okay.
need your name.
Victoria Porter. I live on North Hauser. I've enjoyed watching a hockey game every now and then, but I have many of the same objections about loss of green space. But somebody opened the door by mentioning Coal Miners Park. I would like to see another Parks Board meeting devoted to how people feel about what's being proposed for Coal Miners Park as it affects our wildlife and as it would most certainly impact Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary. And I realize you have an agenda for tonight, and that is not on topic for the agenda. I'm just letting it be known that I would like it to be dealt with at some point.
Are you referring to the Sledding Hill proposal as part of the grant?
Yes, the Sledding Hill proposal. And yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're not referring to the tennis courts?
Well, the tennis courts, any of it. If they're going to talk, if they're talking about lights and use after dark, any further use up there that involves noise levels and lighting, yes.
Okay, but we're making note of that then. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay.
Is there anybody else out there in the Zooming land that would like to comment on this issue?
I'd like Julie Ray has her. Oh, that's Angie Hazelstwart.
What?
Angie.
Angie?
Yes.
Go ahead, Angie.
Angie Hazelstwart, 301 South Hagen. One thing that I haven't heard mentioned that I'm curious about is if the proposed vision of the ice rink goes through, the grant money will probably pay for the construction of it, but how will it be maintained long-term? I'm assuming maybe the city pays for the water now. I don't know the answers to that. Is it going to be electric, a gas boiler that heats the tubing to cool the ice? So I'll just be interested when all that starts to come out to the public too, is how will the long-term maintenance of it be paid for? Thank you.
Tom, you Security?
Yeah, I think the answer to that, the answer to the first question is yes, currently it's paid for with city funds for the current costs, and a mix of, significant funds from donations and Red Lodge Ice is where, it comes from.
So long-term maintenance and
It
operation.
would be the same thing.
It is currently going on down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom, do you have an MOU with the
Yeah.
city?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from online or?
Julie Ray has unmuted herself.
Okay.
Oh, thanks. I
Go
just have
ahead.
a very quick clarifying question, and apologies if this was similar to what Teresa was asking earlier. And Tom, it's probably maybe something you can answer. It's just to clarify for my information, the grant that was secured, and congratulations, was the grant specifically linked to these projects that are now being proposed?
Yes.
So these projects were put forward and they are now contingent upon having secured those funds.
Could you repeat that?
Don't understand the question.
Oh, sorry. So in order to secure the grant funds, were these specific projects put forward? So are these the projects that need to happen because the grant money has been secured?
Yes. They don't,
Okay.
there's kind of a leading question. The money's been secured for these projects, but the grant money doesn't mean that the project has to happen. It means, but in order to get the grant money, you have to have the project. So there's a cart and a horse there that I think have to be in the right order.
Is it tied into location?
No.
No, not tied into location.
So there was never an alternate possible plan,
I don't understand the question.
a different location.
The location could move. That's not,
It could move.
yeah, the grant is not depend to the location, no.
The grant's not dependent on that location.
As far as I know, no.
It's not.
No, okay.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
I know you cut off all these things. I spoke with Tracy Timmons today.
Please come up to the front again.
Smith, Red Lodge. I spoke with Tracy Timmons today, and she confirmed for me at that time, this answers Julie kind of, that yes, the grant was applied for with these particular projects. However, the money could be reallocated to other projects.
With state approval, that is correct question. That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The money can be, there is a process where you can apply to have, as long as you meet the intent of the program, you could apply for an amendment to the grant. There's no guarantee they would approve it,
Right.
but you can apply for a grant amendment.
Okay.
That is a correct statement.
And then I have one quick question. Sorry. The $400,000 that's in the resort tax budget for Red Lodge Ice, or Ice Rink.
Yep.
as you said. Can you tell us about that?
So it's the same project. So those are stacked pieces, right? So there is $400,000 in the resort tax budget currently to support ice rink improvements.
$400,000
That's
for
correct.
your project, so the total is $800,000?
That's correct.
What? 800?
With the 400 for the grant,
okay.
yes.
I would like to say something on that though, because I am city council president and I'm on the resort tax committee with Tom and I'm on admin and finance. We put that in there as a placeholder. There's a lot of steps that have to happen. We had to budget for it for this year as a potential that this would be approved. Does not mean that it's going to be spent. We have to, the way the city budget works, we budget for it, but we have to raise enough resort tax to cover it, number one. And number two, city council would have to approve that project and how that would be spent.
The project has not gone before the council.
Right.
Well, I ask a question? Yes. So Jody, just so I understand on that resort tax thing, and I get it, I think. So when you budget for that, if you don't budget for that, then that resort tax money has to probably go back to the business or the taxpayer?
No, when budget the expense, we make our budget, and we have certain things in the resort tax money that have to be spent every single year.
They're already committed. is
They're
what she's
already
saying.
committed.
Yeah, they're already
Yeah,
committed.
already
They're
committed.
Water and sewer money projects that have already been contracted for.
Okay.
And we try to have kind of one big project a year. Last year, we bought a vac truck for Public Works. And this year, we knew that this grant was being applied for, and if you don't budget for it, we can't spend it on that project.
Gotcha, okay.
So what we did is we budgeted, hoping that we'd get the grant, and then, but it still had to go completely through the process. The project has to be approved by city council.
Okay. I
So-
just thought maybe that tax money had to go back.
No, that's, you're thinking of the income side of it.
Okay.
We estimate, we budget what we think we're going to bring in resort tax.
Okay.
And and if we like we say, 1 year we did, we do 900,000 and we bring in 1.3 million, we have to return $400,000 to the property tax owners,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'd like to make a statement here, when we talk about the details of the budget, really, that's probably more appropriate at city council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Than we are here.
Sure.
Thank you, Jody, for clarifying that.
Yep.
So,
So why wasn't the community let known about the
please
plan?
come forward.
So if this was budgeted for and the idea of the grant was going to go, or you had these projects in line for the grant, but there was no community feedback.
There's
a lot of other projects that.
It was discussed in resort tax because the resort tax funds the parks. So that's where.
Yeah,
it
just
was
to clarify on this, like, I understand that this seems like like we have, well, it's not shady. And I think I said that, I think that, I understand the qualification of party. There's a lot that happens in city government, and it requires people showing up to meetings and reading the notices and reading the agendas. And this stuff, the ice rink has been discussed in this concept for more than 5 years, going back to the original resort tax renewal, meeting. This was discussed as the pool as being the first big project, and an ice rink as being a second project with resort tax. So this is not something that is out of the blue coming in. I bet I've been at 25 meetings that are publicly announced public meetings where this has been discussed, including resort tax meetings. And Betsy participates in the Red Lodge Business Alliance, and we've talked about this at the Business Alliance multiple times. We talked about the grant at the Business Alliance. Again, that's not a public meeting, it's a Business Alliance meeting, but it was been discussed there for multiple times. This has been in concept as, not here's what we want to do, but what we're looking at to the city council, to the parks board, multiple times, and at resort tax, multiple times. And so there's no shady about this. It's just hard because who wants to show up at these meetings all the time? They're long and boring, right? Usually. Not so boring today. And I think, I'll lean towards Betsy on this. She's been involved in city politics as long as anybody in the room. And, that is often a complaint that the public isn't made aware. And it's very challenging. We try very hard to make sure everybody is aware. And I think the challenge is that you do a lot of planning and you get to the point where you have a public meeting. That happened on the 19th. That was the first time for big public input. Then you get feedback and then you adjust. This is the first official one. So there's nothing shady about it. It's just, here we are, right? Like, this is the process and you guys are part of the process.
Well, no, I understand that, but what I'm questioning is that the community wasn't given a chance to say, oh, hey, the city wants to apply for this grant.
The city didn't apply for the grant.
Or whoever, anyway, but that there wasn't a feedback period of before the projects were picked, I guess is what I'm getting at. So that there's a lot of other projects that could have been picked other than these.
And I think that the key things is that grant was publicly announced. And any,
But
any,
you just said that the projects were already designed before the grant was even
what
written.
I'm
No, I
saying
didn't-
is
I didn't
that
say that.
other organizations
No?
could have applied for this same grant.
Say what now?
Anybody could have applied for the grant.
Okay.
So,
Take control of the meeting.
I'm done.
Mr. Chairman, could you clarify, Betsy Scanlon again, what the next process, what happens next? And can we be apprised of when you've had a chance to deliberate this and maybe modify it or turn it down, which would be, my personal request? And so that we would have time to address that and be present when you make that
I
deliberation.
can tell you that this, Betsy, if it comes back to this board again, it'll be noticed, agendized, and publicly noticed. So if you keep your eyes open, you'll be aware of it coming back to our board. I think right now, we're not planning on making an official recommendation or a motion tonight regarding this project. And really, the idea of this was to have sort of a non-official public hearing regarding this matter, so that we can get comments from the residents, get more information about the project from the steering committee, more information from them, and allow you folks to have a say and make comments in how you feel about the project. That's the intent for tonight. Now, I think really probably what this board, I'm kind of speaking loud of hand here a little bit, maybe speaking for the board. You can correct me if one of you think I'm wrong. But I think that what we're hoping for is that we'll get some direction from the city council after this meeting tonight too, of what role they want us to play, if not in this project.
I think our understanding was that the next stage would be to go to city council, who then would then have to say, go back to you guys to say, hey, please consider this. That's my understanding of the process. And I think some folks may understand, there's a new process that hasn't been adopted, but we're kind of trying to follow that.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, if I may, as I stated at the very beginning, according to the draft flow chart for decision making, we see this as step one on the Parks Board's published and draft process for such projects, which is where the organization user group requests to be placed on a Parks Board agenda to provide preliminary project concepts. 2 is the Parks Board acknowledges the project, merits further information, and it just goes through that. And that goes on over the next weeks, the next months, and we are here to follow that process.
Well, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Please come forward again.
Hi, Mary Decker. So I have one thing to address. The members of the Red Lodge Area Community Foundation Tourism Grant Steering Committee, the pilot tourism grant isn't directly for winter, correct?
What we applied for was winter tourism.
You applied for, but that isn't, the pilot tourism grant can be any time.
Anybody could have applied for anything they wanted to. That's
Okay.
correct.
So how was the steering committee appointed?
So the grant was applied for, and we were asked to serve as on the steering. There's certain legal requirements, like you have to have a lawyer. Is one of the, I don't know why they put that in the law, or if it's in the law, it's in the policy. But there's requirements for who, and they're volunteers. It's volunteers.
Okay, so I put this together and I named it Not in My Backyard. This is the name of my file. So of the 11 members, 4 of you are members of Red Lodge Ice. 4 of 11. There are 5 projects. 3 of them are adjacent or in the high bug. We have, of the 4 members from Red Lodge Ice, 2 up at Meeteetse Meadows, 1 who I believe there's 1 up at Remington Ranch, and then 1 maybe who's still staying at the Yodeler. I'm not sure. He had applied for one of our rentals at a time, that AJ Christensen. And we have there are rosters. Okay, Dave Westwood, the mayor, lives up at the golf course. Sherry Weimer lives at Remington. Nick's up by you. Ray's out in Roberts. So none of you actually live where this would impact you at all. The construction of this, the lights, the noise ordinances, I mean, everything, it doesn't impact you guys at all. So why was there not more effort to include people who actually this matters to? Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Agree.
Any other comments? Going once? Going twice?
Anyone else online? Take yourself
Anyone else
off mute,
online?
and I will let him know.
Okay, I think we'll close comments. Thank you all for coming, appreciate it. No.
I got it. You gave me
This is the only.
Okay.
I'm ready for bed. I'm ready for bed. I'm ready for past my bedtime.
When I talked with him, I said, the heavy duty.
Yep. Wait, I just looking to see where they are.
Here's the major.
Where's my, okay, I have talked to them.
They put you out.
I forgot that. Can I email that to you guys? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I meant that.
Well, it will go to city council, but since I brought it up here, I would like to be able to send it to you. Yeah.
I was having to clarify. So, you'll answer any questions you want.
I have one.
Sure.
It would be shocking. Perfectly. But yeah, 100%.
It's a done deal. I mean, I see that happen, but do it.
Yeah, it would be hard to do. You have to rebuild the whole thing. All the parts, it would be a lot, but it could be done, for sure. There was a lot of effort to build that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many things I use it anymore. Yeah. The problem is, what happens when you start to
I know, but it's all about.
that is the challenge, right?
We're not gonna work on it.
That's my 2 cents.
So you don't need to give the report, we can right here.
We don't see a lot of.
I'll do like an update, email it to everybody, just so you're up to date.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I don't think I would aware of that.
Yeah,
and if you guys are in that direction, like you're done, I'd be happy to assist with that.
And did you get access, you guys?
No, I didn't. Sorry. I have to wait back.
Very well, have a good night.
Yeah.
Happening, right to meet you. Must be nice to get along.
You're flying along back.
You're pretty international anyway.
Are you
Encore? Are you waiting?
Thank you.
Okay, good.
We're gonna resume the meeting.
Hi, guys.
Are we allowed to leave? Am I allowed to leave?
No, you're allowed to.
Seriously, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for putting up with all this.
Thank
you.
We want to live in a community.
Once in a lifetime.
Okay, we're gonna start the meeting back up again. Just a little bit of house cleaning. We are going to, I need a motion, I guess, basically.
I make a motion to go back to item 3, which we moved up to 2, because we were trying to get you guys out of here before a 2-hour meeting. And then you showed up after we already did that.
So anyhow.
We're gonna go back there.
So we are back to it, and I think you want to go ahead and make a motion that we table the rest of the meeting.
We tabled it to December 7th, January.
Item 4? Item 4 is.
No, we're talking about.
No, I mean,
We can run through these quick. I think
if
we
he's
can
been
run
sitting
quick.
here
I've been
for
sitting
2
here for 2
hours
hours.
waiting to talk about Rocky Fork, is
Okay,
that what you
well,
want to talk
okay,
about?
so we will
Okay.
we will include that one.
We can, we'll
Item
pick
4,
and choose then, but I think everyone's like ready.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
So, Melissa and Tom, we need a little more time. Luke is in Korea. We would like to just
That's not Korea,
facilitate
Montana.
getting together with you directly, because that call it small committee interaction, fix the things in the MOU that he felt like we still needed to address, can be quick and dirty. We are still planning to have you shovel ready for spring. So there is no stalling about anything, but the MOU we need to sit down with you.
That's totally fair. I'm just gonna express my personal frustration in the fact that that notification came this afternoon after I made an effort to come home from a business meeting, to be here on time to do this. And I have been emailing and asking questions about getting this ready, because at the last meeting, you indicated you could get the board feedback, Parks Board feedback, back to us in time for us to present to you this information. I followed up 2 weeks ago when I hadn't heard anything, followed up again, got your feedback. I get it, you're busy. I'm being very blunt. And
Yes, you are.
I recognize that. We've been coming since January of last year to work through this process, and I am sorry that I am now at the end of a 2-hour meeting, adding extra stress, but we leave, I leave for work, we'll be gone for a week, we leave, we're not back, we have choices
But
to
this
be
is
gone
not,
too.
but this isn't
But-
like, there's no, okay, go ahead.
I get that this seems like a little thing.
Well, it's
Just
not a
adjust-
little thing that you made a trip back. No, I don't belittle that at all.
It's
And
the timing of the timing of the communication around it, like, we're putting our best foot forward to meet the timelines, to communicate, and all we're asking for is your blessing on an MOU that we can present to the city. I don't believe that you guys have, like, you're not the city attorney needs to review the MOU. So, you and Luke helping me with the MOU is fabulous.
there's
but-
still some things that didn't get addressed. So Luke, are you still online?
He's not.
And it's okay.
Apologize.
We're happy to meet. It will be the last week of December at best that we can sit down to do this. And I don't want to cram the time. So that's all. Thank you for your time. I realize you guys are full. You've had it. I'm sorry that you're in that position. It's just frustrating to find out, like, literally, I made choices today to be here tonight because I had an expectation around doing something.
Yeah, and I think we apologize for that. So
And I hear you.
can we try to get a meeting together the last week of December, then, that works for you?
And something that we're,
I mean, we're that, this.
I know we are.
We are that close.
I don't
I don't
it's just like
understand
one
where we're
thing.
off.
I mean, I don't.
Like, I fixed everything that you asked to be fixed in the revised version.
that Luke suggested.
I don't think so, but I'm not gonna speak for him right now. He doesn't feel that way.
I
And-
changed everything that he highlighted. I put
Okay,
it
well,
all the things.
maybe there was something missed. I don't know.
I think,
And we got something back yesterday, and you worked very hard to do that, but that isn't how this board works, that then, okay, guys, we're prioritizing something that we're gonna get to your end game. To be so, critical of a path, and I'm especially sensitive about that after spending 9 years in here trying to build a soccer field.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, so
I
we
get it.
have actually worked very fast, and we have had a procedure, and we have, even though it isn't like what you would hope for, Melissa, in the great scheme of things, we've had a process, and we're doing our best too. So we're going to get there and help you out, and we'll work with your schedule. And yes, I take it personal because we have really worked pretty fast, and you don't think we have.
You're right, I can be considered very naive. I will set up an appointment
okay,
for that time frame,
okay, good. Thank you.
and we'll figure out what we do from here.
We'll just need an event that it gets passed, so a few of us, at least a quorum needs to convene at the last week, or what are we doing here?
No, we need
You and
to,
Luke.
we need
Luke
to,
has
we're
been
trying
working
to
with
get the
them.
details. If you want to participate in those,
I'll
line
be here.
items,
I'll be here.
hop in.
Okay.
Or where we're also trying to facilitate not stalling for every month to make a change and then go to another month and make one more change and go to another month.
So
We're
possibly,
trying,
if we meet the last week of December, it can be on the agenda for January 7th.
Exactly.
yeah, and we're hoping to
Let's do it.
recommend them to go to city council with it.
Okay,
That's the intention.
okay.
And is that when the attorney might look at it, once it goes?
They'll have to, and I don't know what to say about some of the.
So it would go to Land Use and Planning Committee and the city attorney, and then it would go to city council.
Oh, all right.
And that's, their schedule is out of our control.
Is there anything that can be done via email or phone that could make that process happen quicker?
Well, I think in the meantime,
I think
depending
when
on
Luke gets back, he's planning to
contact,
relay the comments that he finished with Roger. Melissa addressed them, but the disparity in addressing things, and I'm like, I found out yesterday afternoon that he would like to discuss it with you in person.
And part of it is, like, do we have the option to have a conversation around the items that are being asked to be changed?
Totally.
So that's part of this discussion, and if we need to have it with Luke and you and then the rest of the group, but let's start there. But to just be, like, make the changes or is not what I heard. What I hear is, let's have a conversation around what those proposed changes to the MOU are so that we can address.
I'd rather just do it in this form right now, so we can all
well,
talk about it, rather than go up
Except
in.
Luke was
Luke is
involved
there. Luke is-
heavily in it, and he's
Yeah.
flying right now from Korea, so.
but I think the point is that we can still have some conversations via email or telephone or whatever prior to the meeting, the last week of December. So that we're ready to kind of go.
The purpose of the meeting at the last week of December is to, what we were waiting for was feedback from the board, or the Parks Board specifically, around what adjustments we need to have in the MOU. We got a few of those from you guys. I made the changes, sent them back. I understand they're not adequate and we need to do something more. So I don't need to do it face to face. I'm happy to do it in a Teams call or some
Okay.
other way so that we can just keep the ball moving forward. Not because I'm afraid that you guys can't do something in a timely fashion, but because I understand then I need to get on the next agenda and the next agenda, and we're trying to avoid being in the middle of
Agreed.
May,
Yeah.
when we're trying to move little things forward, like
We're not,
get a
we
work
have
crew
no
together.
anticipation of doing that. So if you could get on a Zoom call with Luke and I next week?
Sure,
That's good, that's a good point. If we can do this and have it completed and decisions made and the changes agreed upon before the last week of December, we'll just move forward with this.
Right,
And all I'm trying to do is, I see each of these stops that we have to make as a month. Being realistic, I kind of recognize it's gonna take a month in each place. And so, all I'm trying to do is keep from pushing another month so that we're farther into the spring. That's all I'm asking.
All right,
So,
thank you.
we'll chat next week. I
Okay.
apologize that you guys have had a long night.
No, you don't have to apologize.
No apologize.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else we need to know about?
Let's move on to item 4, Parks Projects Update, Rocky Ford demolition and next steps. Mike, and budget, wanted to throw it all in one.
On Rocky Fork, Public Works hasn't been really involved with that. The mayor's been kind of running it. I see that they've got it all to the grade that they were shooting for, which was the LiDAR, level around the buildings prior. Looks like they have some topsoil to bring in there. I think Public Works, I haven't talked to the mayor about it, and he's gone. I think we're gonna go down there and survey the area, and get a good map of, just a plat of it, so that we kind of have a slate moving forward, something we can, I think, use as a starting point for what's gonna happen there. Other than that, that's all I know
Okay.
on Rocky Fork.
Okay, I ask you a question about that, Mike, and you're probably, if you can't answer it, it's probably because of mayor, but, we've talked a couple times about what kind of limitations that FEMA's gonna have, or DEQ or somebody's gonna have on what can be developed in that park, some parameters. Is that something that the board can look at yet? Is that something in writing?
I can see if I can chase that down. I know there are gonna be limitations.
Yeah.
I heard no permanent structures.
No permanent structure.
So there's a building of nothing.
Yeah, we've heard that too, but I mean.
I think within that, though, there is there's some latitude. I think we just have to look at it and see what it is, if there's an idea. I think,
Because permanent
no
structure is kind of wide open.
Could be possibly amended if, they're open structures.
Yeah.
Things like that. But those are things we'll figure out as we move along.
Okay.
I haven't seen any.
I just think it'd be good for the board to sometimes have an opportunity to look at that.
Speaking from an insurance standpoint, that area is what they call a floodway.
Yep.
And it is designed specifically, FEMA wants it to flood there.
Yep.
So whenever you think about what you're going to put there, realize that it's supposed to flood
Exactly.
every spring. So that's the concept there. And they want it to flood so that it slows the water down so that it doesn't flood worse downstream.
Yeah.
Which is
I
why I was
understand.
surprised it was brought up to grade and not left, like, the bowl that was left after the
Well,
excavation.
that bowl
which I thought was kind of cool.
It was, but that bowl was actually the basement and wasn't natural.
Yeah,
It was the basement of the inn.
When I
So-
first saw that bowl, I thought,
Right.
it was some
Yeah.
kind of retainage.
Yeah, no, that was, I think that,
Right.
I'll let the mayor talk
Okay.
about that.
Anything else, Mike?
Not on that one. I'll just kind of go a little bit of an update on kind of what Public Works is doing park-wise. We got done with all of our big projects, so I'm going back to the Pride Park project. I got funded, to put in the new planters.
Sir, do you have a question?
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm,
Thanks for sticking around.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yep. See you next time.
Take care.
I'm working on a 3D rendering based off of what we got from the landscape architect. I'm hoping to have that ready for next week. They're having a garden club meeting, and I'm gonna show it to them and get some comments. I'm gonna bring it here for the next meeting so that you guys can all see it. We're moving forward with that one. One thing that is, it's a street project, but it affects Coal Miners Park a little bit. The EDA street project came in underbid, under what we thought the bid was gonna be. So we have extra money there, on that grant. And because of the way it was looking prior to going to bid, based on the engineer's estimates, we needed to budget another $200,000 to complete that. It came out to be like $4.2 million, I think, instead of $4. We budgeted an extra $200,000 into that. So we had a pretty big little pot of money that we could extend the project. What I'm proposed, in terms of, EDA wants it preferably not, they like to have things more towards business oriented or not so much residential. So I'm trying to add in that North Chambers for curb, gutter, and asphalt, and then we go all the way around the loop at coal miners and come back down. So that's pretty exciting. And in that project, we would address a lot of that drainage up there, that we've been kind of working on. So that's kind of exciting. It's a street project that really is gonna affect Coal Miners Park in a positive way.
And does it include paving too, did I hear?
Yeah, it'll be asphalt, curb, gutter, like between the parking area and the asphalt, it'll be a valley gutter.
Okay.
It won't have a curb. And on the other side, I had it on my computer, drawn up, but my computer died. Waiting, I should turn it off.
Yeah,
But,
you guys
but I'll
don't need
send out, I'm gonna do a little update and email everybody, and I'll throw in a picture of that. I did go through and I did lay out the skating rink in scale in several places, Coal Miners being one of them, Field Park and the old football field, to see how it laid out. And just my opinion, and after reading the geotech that the tennis folks did up there, and when you look at everything else laid in there at Coal Miners, that's a pretty tough spot for the skate rink. It really is. I mean, is it doable? Yes, but it's going to be it's going to add a lot more cost to it and a lot more difficulties. It's just getting too crowded up there.
I think that
Moratorium, I think we need a moratorium up there.
Yeah, I think that 5-pound bag, Sugar's got 6 pounds in it already.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that when it's laid out, and I'll send that out in my update. I did meet with Barb Beck yesterday. She asked if I could do, I'm gonna work with Dennison. They need just kind of like an area map, a site map that shows any potential problems, easements, whatever, kind of like a site title opinion. So I'm gonna help her with that. And I think that's it for park stuff. As far as budget stuff, we grouped all the, like the Pride Park and the Parks Project money and some other stuff. Lonnie grouped them all together this year. Usually they're split out in the budget, so I can't see them exactly what. So I have to get the details from her on that, but budget, we're sitting pretty good. Other than that, we budgeted a little more this year for Willie, for fuel and parts and stuff, and he's eating it up, but that's a good problem to have. That means he's working, so he's getting stuff done in the park. That's my update. Okay, any questions?
Any questions for Mike?
Just to put it on your radar, Susie Milligan has asked to be on the January agenda.
Is that for the
Soccer shed?
Yeah, and I told her as long as it's on skids, do it. I don't know that.
I didn't know that that's what they're planning, so I told her to try to reach
I don't
you.
want to make this into a land use and planning thing. It's a
Right.
little shed on skids.
Right.
If we decide
And
the
less than
problem,
200
we'll just move it.
And less than 200 square feet.
What's that?
It needs to be less than 200 square feet.
Yeah, 196.
Okay,
And then it doesn't have to be on a pad or a,
right,
yeah,
right.
that's
So,
the city.
but I thought she could clear some of that discussion with you, Mike. And then,
I talked to her on the phone, and I said, do it. What more do we
When?
need to discuss?
Oh, well, then she's bringing it here for approval then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Most of those sheds are on skids. You can move them after, you
Yeah.
know.
any other questions for Mike? No? We're going to, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. However, I do want to remind everybody that the January meeting will be election of officers as well.
So, since I'm the one that needs to do the minutes, can I get,
You can
a
help
motion
with
to table several of these budget, these agenda
Yeah.
items, so I don't go, what?
We have a motion to table the
City park signage.
5, 6, 7, and 8, or 5,
No,
6,
six.
and 7.
6, 7, and 8.
Motion to table.
Okay, second?
motion to
Second.
Is it okay to wait for the election until January, or is that something that has to be done before the end of the
But
year?
by our bylaws, it's January, first
Okay.
week of January.
So that'll be on,
Yeah.
that'll be on the January agenda.
Okay,
What are you trying to,
I'm trying to ask you if you need help with any of those last names, the people
Yeah.
came in at the end.
okay, we're adjourned.
Hazel Schwartz.
okay, Hazel Shores,
Okay.